Hey guys, Stacy Coward. And today I'm going to talk to you about intimacy and getting the most out of your relationships, getting the most out of your life with the lifelong person that you're with, and what intimacy looks like. Well, first of all, intimacy doesn't have anything to do with taking your clothes off. Intimacy is what we do during the daytime hours. It's how we communicate with each other. It's how we show affection. It's how we show empathy towards one another. It is how we look to one another and build each other up and fortify each other. Intimacy is what you do with your clothes on. Intimacy comes in many different forms. It is you cooking dinner for one another. It's you serving one another. It is you coming home and touching your husband or your wife on the shoulder, touching their hands, kissing them on the forehead, kissing them on the cheek, laying in the bed and just listening to their stories about chickens or cows that jumped over the moon, or Jack and the Beanstalk, their stories. It doesn't matter what the story is. It's you actively being involved and engaged in what they're talking about. Intimacy is about having non-judgmental listening, where when you're listening to their stories, you don't have any opinion. You're just there to listen. You are there to validate them. You are there to validate their existence, their story, their side of the story, with no judgment, no opinion, just there. I'm here and I'm here to listen to you. Intimacy is being real. It is your authenticity with one another. It is your ability to be naked in front of that person. It is your ability to lay yourself out before them and just say, this is what's going on with me, and you to feel like you can trust that person. If you want more intimacy, you want more nakedness. And I don't mean taking your clothes off when I say nakedness. I mean just vulnerability. Intimacy equals vulnerability. Intimacy means that you are able to lay before that person and just be yourself in front of them, completely yourself. And the more that you are able to be vulnerable with them, the more intimacy that you will have. The more that you can lean into that person and trust that person and depend on that person, the more intimacy that you will have. What happens when we have distrust in relationships, or we have discord in relationships? Most of the time it comes from the lack of intimacy. In other words, not coming home and telling that person that you love them, not having time just to sit down with that person and just watch a movie with them. You know, there's no talking going on. You're just sitting in the same room eating popcorn or chips or whatever you're eating. You're just sitting in the same room together. Intimacy is, your husband or your wife is in the shower and you're bringing a towel to them. Intimacy is bringing those clothes up from the laundromat and putting those clothes in the drawer, or serving dinner or breakfast, or asking, do you have gas money for your car? Or is there anything that you need from me? Or sometimes it's just being silent and being there with them. So when we think about intimacy, I want you to think about how it is that you can build better relationships with the people that you're around. Sometimes also when we're thinking about intimacy, we may be thinking about it being just, about a mate. But intimacy can be built also with coworkers. It can be built with your family members. It can be built with lots of other kinds of scenarios. Intimacy itself is allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to be naked, allowing yourself to be able to say what you need to say and hear from the other person without judging what they're saying. So some things that are really important with intimacy is your ability to listen non-judgmentally. If you want to have more intimate relationships, try to start listening to that person without having an opinion, without having what you should do or giving advice or suggestions. Just listen. Just be there to say, oh, okay. Taking yourself out of the scenario, even if that person is saying something about you that may be hurting your feelings. Taking yourself out of it and just hear what they're saying. Not taking what they're saying as a direct hit towards you, but maybe they're saying that they don't like this particular behavior, or they don't like this particular word or thing that you may be doing, and not taking it personal. And that allows you to continue to be vulnerable and naked, before that person. Also, when we think about intimacy, it is about touch. You do have to touch each other. We, as therapists, we look at things and we say about 15 touches a day is a good sign that you guys are being intimate with one another, or that you have a good level of intimacy. Also, we do ask the questions about how much sexual interaction is going on there, because there has to be that level of it. But in order for it to be really great, there has to be a lot of intimacy outside of the bed. And that intimacy is, you know, did you make sure that person had food last night? Or did you wake up in the morning before you left and kiss that person? As busy as you may be, you kiss the person and let them know that you love them, that you did come in and you did take some time with that person just to sort of sit down and tell them about your day. Or did you just walk straight in and go to your space and they went to their space? Or did you take some time up with each other? Intimacy is something that we can see in so many different forms. And if you have a good intimate relationship, it will manifest itself in partnerships with one another. It'll manifest itself as best friends. It will manifest itself as soulmates. It'll manifest itself as lovers, as boyfriend and girlfriend. The greater the level of intimacy is, you begin to get all these other relationships that you want with your partners or the people that you are involved with. You'll get that, but you have to learn how to be intimate throughout the day with your clothes on. And again, all that looks like is throughout the day that you are walking up to that person and you're touching them on the shoulder, you're touching their hand, you're holding their hand, you're sitting with them for a few minutes, you are serving. You know, there is power in submission. A lot of people don't realize the power in submission, and we'll go into that. But just being, you know, submitting under their authority and submitting to the things that they're talking about, that creates a better bond of intimacy. No man wants to wrestle with his woman. You know, that's just the truth. He don't want to have to argue to be the man with you. And a part of being intimate is allowing yourself to be vulnerable so that you can fall in under their leadership. And while I'm on that subject, you know, a part of being intimate is that you have to stop looking at what the person is doing wrong and look at everything they're doing right. You also want to look at, when I am with my mate, I want to make sure that when I'm with my mate that I am celebrating every moment with him. I'm looking at his skin, I'm looking at his teeth, I'm looking at his eyes, I'm looking at his ears, I'm laying my head on his chest so that I can hear his heartbeat. Like, I'm taking full advantage of every moment that I have with him, because guess what? Tomorrow's not promising. You may not have that person with you. And so I want to take full advantage of the time that I have to feel his skin, to touch his skin, to taste his skin, to lay on his skin, to be able to be with him and really allow myself to be involved during the moments that I have with my mate. And so when you're building your level of intimacy, you want to think in terms of, this is somebody that is not really promised to me. In other words, I may not have him on tomorrow. And so I want to take full advantage of all of this time. And so I'm going to spend all of my time celebrating all of the wonderful attributes about him. I'm not going to, you know, look at all of these things that he's doing wrong. I'm going to look at everything that he's doing right, so that when I am touching him or kissing him or smelling him or whatever it is that we do in intimate moments, that I'm overindulged in what I have been given, the grace that I've been given to be with this person. And so I hope that this information has been valuable for you, and I hope that it's giving you something to think about in terms of how to be more intimate, you know, some tools that you can use for intimacy, you know, sitting down, reading a book with each other, sitting down and asking all those questions like, what's your favorite color and what's your favorite food, and getting to know that person. Like, when you go shopping, you're not just shopping for yourself, but you're shopping for that person too. When you are out and you're calling and saying, hey, honey, I'm on the way home. Do you want something to eat? All those things are intimacies that we do throughout the day, so that when you are with that person, that your love level actually increases for them. So I hope this information has been valuable. If you like the video, please subscribe, share it, and pass it on. See you next time.